Welcome to the fastest hour in radio, All About Cars. Brought to you by ABC Motors Prescott with your host, David. Don't call me Dave Spence and Big Mike Hill.
We're back again for a second little session here, and I hear you brought us a guest this time.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was on Craigslist, and I was looking for stuff, and I ran across a 2004 Mustang GT convertible locally here in Prescott, and this thing is hot. I mean, it's beautiful red, ghost flames, and I thought to myself, what could be more fun than to call somebody on Craigslist, put them on the air, put them on the spot, hammer them with some questions, and see just what they've got to say, because an ad doesn't say everything.
Well, and it sounds like my type of car from what you just said.
It actually is. And you know, the interesting thing is I called the number listed on this ad and spoke to the gentleman last night. He said, Mike, I live right around the corner. I can head over there in the morning and meet you guys. I said, it's 6 o'clock. He said, I'm old. I get up anyway.
You sure that didn't mean he was desperate to sell it?
No, he just, you know, I mean, you look at this car and there's no reason to be desperate to sell it at all. It's got like 25,000 miles on it, and it's pretty car. Too bad I can't have it. Anyway, in our studio this morning, Mr. Grady Carroll was nice enough to drive over here. Good morning, Grady. I appreciate you coming out this early in the morning.
Good morning, guys.
Looking at your car, you know, I can read off what it is, but I don't know that that's going to really tell the story. I'll let you take a moment and tell us your 2004 Mustang GT convertible. I know it's not, just by looking at the pictures, I know it's not normal. Why don't you give us a quick rundown on it?
Okay, I'm a car guy and an old Mustang guy, and three old guys own this Mustang GT, and every one of them done something on it. So I'm always looking for something a convertible to have fun with, and this 04 commemorative or anniversary model was everything you could do in 2004 on a Mustang GT. And then, of course, we can't leave it alone, none of us. So the first gentleman put about 800 miles on it and drove it straight to Kinney Bell in Rancho Cucamonga, California, and spent $7,000 to put a supercharger and intercooler on it, and then upgraded the suspension. And then I've done exhaust work, and another guy has done the flames that you see as a famous old painter in Rancho Cucamonga, and his name.
Those look like Little Louie flames to me.
Yeah, that is Little Louie, famous. Still painting hot rods for hot rod guys that have big money. But this is just one of those fun cars that is, you know, when I bought it, it had less than 20,000 miles on it. I put a few thousand miles on it. We like to drive up to Yarnell with it. I like a car that's got more of the horsepower than it needs, and something that goes around the corners properly.
Ooh,
and
good heel and tow car, huh?
Yeah, good heel and tow car. My wife doesn't much like doing that, going out the spars, but you know, she's kind of used to it. So she just gets in the car and tightens up the seatbelt and doesn't moan or groan, you know.
Oh, my wife likes the heel and tow cars. She really does.
My wife barely likes the car in the parking lot, you know.
I know. It's a motor transportation for her.
Barely.
We're not talking about that. He's got a supercharged car. That makes it extra special, man.
It is supercharged. I'm looking at the pictures. I just showed David the pictures, and for anybody who obviously can't see David's face, his eyes got about 3 times bigger when he saw the pictures of this thing, because it is absolutely gorgeous. And, you know, I had asked you last night if you would drive it over here so we could look at it, and I know you said you don't really like driving it around when it's up for sale because it's not fair to the guy that's going to buy it, and I respect that. Are the seats on this as comfortable as they look?
The Mustang did a really good job with the factory seats in 04. It's their leather package. If you're really going to go around corners hard, you need more bolsters, but the car isn't set up to go tracking. It's, you know, it does what it needs to do. They're comfortable. lumbar support, with the suspension work that me and a couple other guys did on the car. It's a lot stickier than you would expect. So you think you're just taking it easy. When you look down there and you realize you're doubling the speed of the corners going out the spars. And then the
Awesome.
tire, so I could teach Grandma to drive the car that way.
Maybe you can take it out and let Scott race it out at the raceway. It might be a bit much.
Don't
Not
do
at
that
all.
with that car. The car's too nice.
If you're talking about the one out in Prescott Valley, no, do that.
Oh, okay. So you don't drive that on dirt then?
You don't drive that on dirt.
No, I can tell he takes care of the car like me. That looks like a new car. That does not look like a used car, man.
The pictures, I'm looking at that supercharger and I'm looking at your listing. I see it says about $7,000 for the supercharger and accompanying stuff.
Anybody that's bought cars and realized that if the car doesn't have the stuff they want, when they start putting things on it, either having it done or doing it themselves, you always get way too much money in the car than you're ever going to get back. But if it's for your pleasure, you do it because you want to do it.
Right.
Yeah, you ain't doing it to make money.
You are not doing it to make money.
Now, okay, as what David and I have spoken about before, and Scott agreed with us as going to be our tradition, is we're going to take anybody that we're, when we see a cool car on Craigslist, we're going to talk to somebody about it and give them an opportunity to tell us about it. My question for you, because we're each going to ask you a question here, and I may even ask you a follow-up question afterwards. My question for you here is I'm reading this list of stuff. Is there other stuff that you would want somebody to know that they're not going to read in this ad that says, hey, that might be what I'm looking for?
Not a whole lot. I didn't try to detail everything. I mean, there's subframe connectors, which is really important on any handling car, but extremely important on a convertible because you don't have the rigidity that you normally have on a coupe. So it's really important to have a good set of connections between the front of the car and the rear of the car. This car has that. It's got the additional steering components under the car, adjustable shocks for the rear so you can go with a softer ride or harder ride. It's got a really nice set of really sticky Netto tires on it that fit perfectly with the right look in the car, the way it's set, so you don't look like you got too much of the wheel well exposed. I hate that. And it's got a really nice set of the factory wheels. And if Ford did a lot of good work with their factory wheels when they did their Mustang GTs. So this has that look in it. So the car drives like brand new, is bulletproof, and believe it or not, get out on the highway with the 5-speed in it. Even though it's putting about 380 horsepower to the ground, not to the flywheel, but to the ground. That's a big deal for car guys.
That's a lot of power.
So this is actually a real car. It's a manual.
Yes.
It's a manual.
It's a real car.
It's a real car for a real driver that a real man can drive. Yes, David, we've established that thing.
That's really important.
But it's not one of those cars that's all cammed up, that's extremely hard to get in and out of your garage, or you can't put your wife or your grandkid in the car because it's bucking down the road. It makes all of its horsepower because of the pressure from the supercharger. And it'll pull, coming back from California, I pulled 25 miles to the gallon at 75, 80 miles an hour.
That's awesome. Now, I have a totally different real question for him. Being that I'm a top-down type of guy also, I happen to drive around my Solstice with top down.
There you go.
What's the experience like? Is it one that buffets you a lot? Do you like the windows up? What do you look at with it?
I mean, the only time the windows come up in the car is if the wind is blowing my wife's hair around too much. But normally she knows I like the windows down, top down. We pulled out of the garage a few weeks ago. It was 25 degrees to run up to Yarnell.
Yeah.
And she says, wow, it's cold. I says, just turn the heater on, bring your earmuffs, because the top's down, put your gloves on. And that's how we rode to Yarnell and back.
Hey, so he's my type of guy here because that's what we do. I turn the heater all the way up, and I put a heated seat in mine too because, hell, you got the top down. That's what the car's for.
Yeah. Layer up if you have to. Layer up.
And obviously Grady here didn't have to worry about the wind blowing his hair.
Yeah, Grady doesn't have much trouble with that.
Yeah, okay. We're on radio.
Scott, what's your question, buddy?
I was thinking about it, thinking because I'm not the car master that you two are, but Did you build this car, or did you get it? Was it your own project?
No, it was the project of two other guys and who are also Mustang guys. I've done some exhaust work on it, but there really was nothing left to do to keep it at this level. So other than changing a little bit of tuning and changing out, taking the cat, it was from California, so it had to have, you have to pass smog there. Well, in Prescott, Arizona, we don't do that. So I pulled all the cats out and put a really nice X-pipe in it with some really nice Flowmasters and to get a tune right. So mainly my contribution, I always contribute to a car unless I'm going to build one. And so it's just the exhaust is my contribution.
Nice.
So I might say that you really liked what you got to start with.
I go hunting. If I've already been the guy to buy the car and to do all the modifications and put the $30,000 in mods into the car. So I go hunting, and sometimes I'll go out 500 miles, or I'll say I'm looking for a really special car. It doesn't matter. I go anywhere in the United States, and I'll find the car, and then I'll fly out and get it.
All right. Well, we appreciate you coming out, Grady. The only thing that I would say is, what happens to the guy that doesn't want the exhaust, has to take it down to Phoenix and get it smogged? Will it pass smog with the old exhaust on it?
It would. I've got all the pieces. I keep everything.
Awesome. And you can find it on the Prescott Craigslist just by punching in 04 GT or 40th anniversary GT, probably other convertibles. Or if you go to our Facebook page, All About Cars Radio on Facebook, we can take care of you there and message me. I'll get you the phone number. Remember, we're all about cars on 100.9, 1450 AM. Thanks again, Grady, for coming out.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Grady.